Just got back from my favorite place to go, and it's been a little bit here. But I go to the local record stores in the book exchange, and I track down and hunt down physical media because I love physical media. This is the recent pickups that I did, some good, some bad. A lot of times, my decisions are made by not necessarily maybe I haven't seen it, but being a kid of the VHS days and going to the video stores and renting stuff, and back when you rented things for the cover art, you saw something on the cover and you were like, that looks awesome. So a lot of it is the nostalgia for me growing up during that time. They're just scouring video stores. Like I said, I remember going to one of my favorite places in my local town where I lived called Doctor Video. Doctor Video was a place that was just like, they carried some of the most bizarre, wacky horror movies and all that. So that was always my favorite section, horror and odd movies, just strange stuff. So anyway, I went to the local record stores and stuff. I grabbed this one. We'll go through here. This one's called The Hitchhiker. It's an HBO 10 collection, a collection of 10 tales from the terror from HBO home box office. I don't remember this growing up. I did not remember seeing it, but how I remember seeing was this cover. I do recall this cover. When I was at the video rental stores. So I recall seeing this. So anyway, $6. I thought, you know what? Let's check it out. Of course, they list a lot of big top names here. Maybe not at the time, but later on. So you got Kirstie Alley, uh, Gary Busey for whatever that's worth, Peter Coyote, Willem Dafoe, Helen Hunt, Margaret Kidder, Joe. I can never pronounce his name. He's the guy with the funny voice, and of course James Remar. So, and this is weird. I watched the first collection of it. It reminds me a lot of Night Gallery. If you're familiar with Night Gallery, that was the thing that what's his name? Now I'm drawing a blank. The guy from Twilight Zone that he did afterwards. Anyway, uh, he did. This is kind of in the same vein of Night Gallery. This kind of reminds me more of a Night Gallery type thing. Not quite Tales from the Crypt, because so far what I've seen is more like a drama based thing, not so much like absolute horror. It's more like a drama terror type, suspense. Alfred Hitchcock in a sense. So, um, Rod Serling is who I was thinking about, but that's kind of where I'm at now. So far, watched about almost half of them. Not not extremely impressed, but anyway, to each their own. You might like it. I'm more like into the slasher, splatter, gore, campy stuff. So speaking of that, to fill the gore hound need, I picked this up. I remember seeing the cover of this. That is, and I think that's what everybody remembers when they see this thing. Driller Killer. The cover art on it is just gruesome. So the blood runs in rivers, and the drill keeps tearing through flesh and bone. Anyway, this was really. I'm almost ashamed of how much I paid for this thing. It was stupid money, but this is a steelbook edition. Apparently, it's out of print. It came with this really neat booklet. This film should be played loud. I remember seeing that. I didn't see the movie prior to owning this copy of it. So I watched it, very music oriented. Uh, I gotta say, I barely made it through this movie. This movie's awful. What made it really awful is I couldn't stand the main like antagonist. I just couldn't stand him. Just what a goofball looking dude. Just couldn't stand his whole acting, everything like that in it. I just really wasn't something that I could stand. For the collection, I'm gonna keep it. obviously because it is. I did locate it on online, and it was like, oh wow, this thing's out of print. You can't really. So that's why they had it locked up, and that's why also it was pretty pricey. But in comparison to what they're selling online in some places, it wasn't a bad price. But Driller Killer, I would say pass because it just really wasn't. I mean, sure, the splatter aspect of it, the scenes of gore, okay, yeah, I mean it was pretty good. It was probably more or less like a blood bag. They wrapped a T-shirt over it and just ran a drill through it. Um, a better driller killer, for lack of better term, film than that would be Slumber Party Massacre. But anyway, the other thing that I just wanted to add in this one, and I get it, you know, we're critiquing things that are they're made for what they are. I wanted to know through the whole thing because he's got one of those, obviously because the movie's dated. It was, I think, filmed in the late '70s and then released in like the early '80s. Um, he's got one of those really old corded drills, like the big metal ones that would actually cause you to get shocked from it. My grandpa even had an updated version of it, a better version of it. He had a Craftsman. Uh, where's he plugging this thing in at? Does he have like hundreds of yards of like extension cord? Because he seems to be all over the place. Did he only kill people where there was a power outlet for? So it's like the ones where he's in the alley, like he's just in dark alleys and stuff like that. Obviously snuffing people out. Where was there a plug-in on those things? I don't know. So anyway, it is what it is for that one. Um, I found this one. I had this actually years ago, and I don't know what happened to my copy of it. Redneck Zombies. This is a just a total campy flick. Trauma releasing. Horrible acting. This is one of those where this is so terrible that it's actually a good movie. If you can, some people can manage through it and some people can't. It is not meant to be. This was meant to be totally a goofball, comedy, horror, really low budget, really low budget, but not a bad one. Like it, glad to have it in the collection. Um, yeah, again, if you're familiar with the trauma stuff, then this should not surprise you at all. If you haven't seen it, but it's pretty much of a goofball movie. From what I understand, this was actually filmed on tape. This is one of the very few movies that was, I guess, filmed on tape that went big, like in a sense. I could be wrong about it, but that's what I remember hearing about it. Next one up, The Boneyard. Cool movie. Early '90s. Cool movie, The Boneyard. Phyllis Diller in it. She does not wear a wig. Um, this is again one of those. I would like to say put it up there with because the '90s were taking a turn for some really kind of like they were almost trying to step up the game. It was things were still campy, but not like the '80s. They were I would like to say that some of these were starting to get a little bit more. The carnage was starting to get a little bit more gritty and nasty. This one here is definitely a really cool one. I like it. I like almost every aspect of it. I like the main character, the 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 lady that they get played by Deborah Rose. I forget her character in the movie, but I like her character. I like her as the actress in it. She's good. She carries the movie well, and the other people kind of support. So I do. I must say I like it. It's about her. She's being a psychic. She can read things and see things and all that. They obviously got these things in the morgue that she's got to go check out. And yes, it's one of those where the cover art. I remember the cover art. I distinctively remember the cover art. It's one of those where, yeah, this is not one of those that where you're like, hey, wait a minute, I rented it for this really cool cover art. Where is it? So that actually does appear. So anyway, if you haven't seen it, that's a cool one. That is an out of print movie, so I was really happy to snag that one up. Pretty decent price. That one's on DVD. All right, this one I had it on VHS back then. Speaking of for cover art, Death Ship. Death Ship is one of those that you rented or had strictly for the cover art alone. Death Ship. Outside from the really cool art, this movie's pretty bad. Um, Not very good at all. I don't know if George Kennedy was just needing money at the time when he started doing these, but he for such a amazing actor like him, you could almost see that without him, the movie probably wouldn't have been even remotely interesting. Um, yeah, people bored, they're stranded. I can't remember how they get stranded. That's how bad the movie is. They get stranded. They end up seeing the ghost ship come through, and it's a creepy old ship. I'll give them that creepy looking ship. They get up on there. They figure out a way, but the ship in itself is haunted, and the ship possesses other people. Hence George Kennedy, and becomes like the captain of the ship and all that. It also has not to discredit, but it also has Richard Crenna in it. I always know him as the Rambo guy, but he's in it. So interesting. Anyway, there's that one, Death Ship. So that was my recent pickups for the record store. Some good, some bad, but I'm a collector of physical media, so that's the stuff that I like to grab and keep them in the collection because I fear that at some point these things are going to be non-existent because I lived through the VHS era when DVD took over, and I really regret getting rid of my beloved videotapes. And as somebody once said, we spend somewhat of a small fortune trying to get back our youth days, the things that we remember, and that's definitely what's happening to me.